Okay, welcome to another edition of Lion News. Lion News can be found at lionnews00.blogspot.com. Today is January 20th, 2012, and we've got a little update here. Here I put this on my channel page. Lawless Pope County, Minnesota is getting their crooked asses sued in federal court. Brian Ulrich versus Pope County et al. Plaintiff Brian Thorvald Ulrich. Defendants Pope County, Gilbert Mitchell, and Eric Thiesing. Case number 0:2012cv00148. Filed January 19th, 2012. And it's a civil rights lawsuit. Jurisdiction federal question. Jury demanded by plaintiff. You can also find it confirmed at thisjustitia.com. Here it is, Ulrich versus Pope County et al. Alright, I reported on this, or I did an interview with Brian late last year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replay that video right now. So, enjoy! Alright, today is December 1st, 2011, and I'm here with Brian Ulrich, and he has some information about a false arrest which happened on May 27th, 2011 in Pope County, Minnesota. Brian, why don't you tell us what happened that day?
Terry, I appreciate your having me over to talk about this. What happened that day was a daughter of a gal that I dated for about 5 years was graduating from high school at the Minnewaska School that day, at Minnewaska High School. And my wife and I came over to that graduation ceremony. The background is that that woman, her mom, that is, and had filed a restraining order on me 2 years ago. There was currently an HRO against me on file in Douglas County that listed her mom, herself, and her 2 brothers on it. But I had consulted my attorney, who advised me that I was free to attend a public event like a graduation. I had helped to raise that girl who was graduating for a number of years, and was excited to share in that celebration at the high school that night. So my wife Dawn and I came from St. Cloud, drove over. We got there about 7:15. The ceremony started at 7:30, and at about 7:25, we were approached by a law enforcement officer. We had sat at the far corner of the gym, wanting to make sure to avoid any possible contact with the parties on the restraining order. He came up into the far end of the gym, approached me and asked me to come out in the lobby to discuss with him a matter. And so my wife and I got up. We essentially were paraded through the entire gym full of people out into the lobby. At that point, another law enforcement officer approached me and asked me if I was aware that I was violating the restraining order. And I clarified to that officer and said, no, I'm very certain that I'm not.
Can you explain what the conditions of the restraining order were?
Well, the conditions were that I was to have no contact with the mother, the daughter, and the daughter's 2 brothers. There was no exclusion of public events. There was no particular distance that I had to be away from them. Nothing like that.
But wasn't there some sort of a job requirement? You couldn't go to a job?
There was stated on the order that I was not allowed to be present at her place of employment.
And what was her place of employment?
She was unemployed for the better part of a year at that point.
Right, but
she had used to work at the Minnewaska School District.
Okay, so on the restraining order, it said do not go to the Minnewaska school then, right?
That I was barred from contact with her employer, and then handwritten in was Minnewaska School District.
Okay, but then at the time of the graduation, she was no longer working there.
For almost a year, she had no longer worked there.
Okay, okay.
And so I explained that to the officers. They sent for a copy of the order. It was out of Douglas County. And roughly 15 minutes later they came in. Another officer did with that restraining order. He read it. I walked him through it, explained the issue about the employment and that she was no longer employed, that wasn't applicable. He said that he would then go and talk with the mom and find out what her side of the story was. So we went off for about 10 minutes, talked with her, came back and said, well, she's asking us to arrest you, and but he said she acknowledged that she's had no contact with you here. She's not even seen you at the event. And I had not seen her at the event either. Again, there was 1,000-some people in a very crowded gymnasium.
So did she confirm to the law enforcement officers that she was no longer employed there?
Yes.
Okay.
And she also confirmed that she had not even seen me at the event.
Okay.
It was her boyfriend who called the supposed violation in.
Okay.
At that point, the deputy acknowledged that I was correct and said, well, technically you've not violated the restraining order, to which I was glad to hear, and that he agreed with me on that, and then he instructed me to leave the premise. And at that point I asked him, under what circumstances are you requiring me to leave? And he said, well, if we allow you to stay, you might violate the restraining order. And I said, well, you know that I haven't violated it. In fact, at that point, there were like 4 officers there. I said, why don't one of the officers come and sit with my wife and I? It's not going to be that much longer, and then I didn't violate the restraining order. And he quickly dismissed that idea and said, again, we're requesting you to leave or we're going to place you under arrest. And I looked at him and said, I've done nothing wrong. I'm not leaving. I desire to go back in and see the rest of this graduation. And at that point, he ordered me to stand up and place me under arrest. Okay. My wife was a witness to all of it.
Okay. So then the Pope County Attorney's Office picked up the charges and started to prosecute you?
Yes, they filed charges against me for supposedly violating that restraining order.
Okay, and how many days did you sit in jail?
I sat in jail for 4 nights.
Okay, over the Memorial Day weekend?
Yes.
Right, so in other words, they ruined your whole weekend?
That's correct.
And the one-time event of your life of the graduation, right?
For that particular girl, my daughter's sister, yes.
Right, right. So then, what eventually happened to your case?
Well, I just wanted to explain that while I was in jail...
Okay.
I'll let that vehicle go by.
Yeah.
While I was in jail, there's some sort of a rule that they can only hold you for 36 hours without a continuing order signed by a judge. So Judge Staffsold, after having been provided with the statement of probable cause, which documented clearly on it that there had been no contact and in fact no violation of that restraining order, he placed his signature on a continuing hold to detain me, which caused me to stay another 2 nights, Sunday and Monday night, in the Douglas County Jail. Okay. So
that really made you feel happy then? And
yeah. Sure.
Justice was being done then.
Yeah, some real justice. So anyway, I had my arraignment hearing on Tuesday afternoon after the holiday, and what they did was they continued the charges for dismissal. My attorney had been in contact with them and explained exactly what had happened, but instead of just simply dismissing it, it was continued for dismissal until the restraining order out of Douglas County expired in October of this year.
But I'm saying, didn't you say you had a friend who was a county attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
I also have a friend who's a county attorney here in the state. I also have obviously discussed this matter with him, and all parties agree that it was mishandled.
Okay, okay. So in other words, it's just not your opinion, it's someone who actually has the authority of a county attorney that knows that you were unjustly arrested then?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Based on the facts that I presented to them and the documents, yes.
Okay, okay.
So I appreciate your efforts to try to expose injustices here in Polk County. When I found out about your efforts here just the other day, I made the decision to bring this out into the public so that others would know that it's not just yourself and any others that you've talked to here, but now you can include myself in the injustices that have occurred here in the county that need to stop.
So, what would you say to other people who have their rights violated in Polk County?
I would say you need to come out and talk about it. Talk to folks like yourself, put it out to the public. You've got a responsibility to do that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, Brian, you have anything else to say then?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you for your time. I really appreciate your call and your courage to get on video.
I appreciate your getting me out there, and please keep up the good work you're doing to protect people's civil rights.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so much for this video. Bye.